Oh, all right. This is episode 68 of the new Realtor Fight Club.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to another episode of Realtor Fight Club. What's up, Mert?
Hey, Monica.
How you doing?
I'm super. How are you?
Good. I'm really digging our new name, Realtor
I
Fight
love it.
I like it too. I'd love to hear from our listeners. You guys liking it? Go to Toe to Toe podcast page. No, I mean Realtor Fight Club page. We got to change
somewhere. Go somewhere.
Go somewhere and find us. All right. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Realtor Fight Club. Today, Shannon and I are going to duke it out over this. How do you handle two buyers who want the same property? How do you handle two of your own buyers who want the same property? That's actually what we're talking about today. Jen, you said you've come across this a couple times.
Well,
tell me what you did.
Yeah, I have. But more importantly, I've come across when I've wanted the same house as my buyers. That's happened more often, actually. Mostly because I don't really deal with a lot of buyers.
Right.
So
what'd you do? Did you compete?
No. So one of them they were both investment properties, obviously. So I do like a lot of investors and stuff. And so one of them, God, it was like the best investment property too. I was like, this one is so good. And it was like their first time investing in a property. And he was like, it's like was a friend. Do you know what I mean? So It wasn't just like a business relationship. It was like, I was like, oh my God, it really broke my heart to be like,
take this one.
You need to buy this. And that was like, it had to be like 5 or 6 years ago. That property have made them so much money. And every time I talk to him, it's just like, I get stabbed in the heart.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
Oh, he's like, I just love that house. I'm like, no shit.
But he loves you. So isn't that worth more than the investment?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. No, it's nice. And actually the other time was really recently. So me and one of our buyers wanted the same investment property too. But see, I'm a landlord and he's like a flipper. So that one was a little bit easier because I was like, what if we could, because I have to pay for the renovation anyway. Yeah. So I'll do my number on what I would pay for it, like after repair value. And then you can back into what those repairs would cost. And see if and so we kind of like worked out like that, but then somebody else got it anyway. So
damn it. Okay.
What about you?
All right. So, well, let me ask you this though. Let's say it's not you and you get called from two buyers.
Yeah. I mean, that's happened before too.
And you go see it and they both want you to write on it.
Or just like you have, that happens, right? Like you work in certain areas a lot and it's like, so you do have buyers and then all of a sudden this house comes up and it's good for like 2 or 3 or 10 of your buyers in this case, right? In this market, it's like 20 of your buyers want this house.
Of course, right. But showing it is different than writing two offers. So for me, if I had to do that, I'd have to get somebody else to represent the buyer. I would let Sharon, my partner, do it or somebody else because I have to go to bat and position my one buyer.
Well, which one are you going to choose?
Well, I don't know how we would do that.
But what if you didn't have a team? What if it was just you?
So you ask your broker or you ask a friend.
Yeah, but you've been working with this buyer and now all of a sudden you're like, hey, I got to give you to this other person. They're like, well, why don't you keep me?
Well, you could explain that away and however you actually decided it. I don't know. But how do you write both of them and say that you're positioning each of them in the best light?
Because it's I've written 2 offers before on a house and it was based on what that, like specifically that buyer. And actually this reminds me of the conversation we were having about dual agency. And a lot of people think you can't be dual agents, but like, I think certain people can.
So like what if they're asking your opinion on something and it has to do with some information, on the other buyer?
That's not possible.
But it's not possible to separate what you know from your advice is what I'm saying.
Yes, it is.
Well, how?
I don't know, but it is possible. So it's like, okay, we're dealing with buyer A and buyer A has this type of loan. Their situation is this, their whatever is this. We're really only up against we're trying to give the seller what it is that they want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like your worst nightmare is that the buyers are very similar and they're willing to get, like, they have the exact same terms.
Mm-hmm. So
Now that is a nightmare, right?
right.
So like that has not happened. There's always just like something in the deal that makes each buyer like uniquely their own
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Do you disclose to the other buyer that you have another buyer?
I mean, I did, but I err on the side of like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I guess not always, because we've done the one where it's like, I don't know. But I think like when I'm dealing with like clients, like I'd rather them know information like, hey, I've shown this to 3 other buyers and there's another one that's thinking about writing too, but let's just like deal with yours. And of course they ask, well, what are they writing? And be like, come on, man, I can't tell you that. Let's just deal with you and your offer.
But if they are asking your opinion on something,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be hard for you to give your opinion because you have other information in your brain.
Not about their, no, give me an example.
So I'm your buyer and we're writing an offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, what do you think is going to be the most important thing for this seller? What do you think the term is that's most important? Is it price or what do you think?
Okay, well, that's based on my conversation that I had with the listing agent.
Yeah, so I'm getting there.
Based
So
on information from the other buyer.
no, but that can lead to, well, how do I position myself above all other buyers?
That we talk about that then. It has nothing to do with all the other buyers, because you have to consider like there could be, if you have 2 buyers that want that same house, there's probably 10 other agents or 20 or 50 other agents that also have a buyer that wants the house. So you're
Right.
not really, it doesn't matter.
But if I say, all right, Jen, so the asking price is 150. If I say,
Can we use a higher number in our example?
okay, yeah, let's say it's 750.
There you go. Boom.
Yeah, that's much
Get
more.
it.
What do you think where do I need to be to make sure I get this property? What do you think?
Well, and let's say that the situation is we've already talked to the listing agent and the listing agent's like, look, it is only price. Like they already have a place to go. They don't care about occupancy. Like it is strictly just price and say inspections. So whatever I knew from the listing agent, I would tell them that. I'd be like, look, they want price.
Okay, so what do you think
to a
is the
certain
number
amount
that gets it done? What do you think the number is that gets it done? Because that's a normal buyer question to an agent.
Sure. I mean, and what would be your answer to any buyer, regardless if you have 1 or 10?
But I'm just saying you have information that would affect that answer.
I don't.
You do. You're writing another offer.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I think we're fighting on this, man. This is a good one.
Yeah.
You're collapsing I think, to me, in my head, you're collapsing the issues. I see what you're saying. You're saying that because you know what one other offer is, that is relevant. And I'm saying that one offer that you know what it is, there's probably 10 others. So the one doesn't matter.
But when you don't have access to the 10 others, you answer that question differently than when you have access to one other.
I don't.
Yeah, because if you
explain
only have me and I say, what do you think gets it done? You're going to tell me. I know you. You're going to have an opinion on that. And you're going to tell me.
Yeah, but it's probably going to be something like, based on what they can be approved for, based on what the property is worth, we would do some type of escalation clause. That's what I would do.
Up to whatever acceptable level in my mind.
Whatever is acceptable to them. But here's the thing, like each buyer is totally different. It is going to be very rare that you're going to have exactly 2 buyers that are both like the 750 house is worth 822.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not going to be like that. One is going to be like, it could be worth 822, but like, I'm just not comfortable doing it. The other one is like, I'll go up to $1 billion. Because I want this house because my auntie lives over here and she babysits the kids, or like whatever. There's always going to be something that changes that is uniquely for them, and they're not going to be the same.
I agree. It's not going to be the same. I just think you can't separate that information once it's in your head.
I can.
Really?
Why can't you? You're not even making sense to me.
I am making sense.
I know all these people agree with you. I know they do. I don't even want to hear your shit.
Because it's right.
It's not right.
Here's my main point. Like, just to simplify it down to the main point. I think you show up differently for me as your buyer if I'm your only buyer than you do if you've got two. You have to downshift into some sort of more neutral mode where I think you would.
I am not
tell me.
neutral ever.
You would tell me something different if you didn't have any other information.
I didn't though. I haven't. In this scenario, I did not. You disclose the same information that you know, but you can't disclose other people's offers, right? Like that's just, you can't do that. But like you disclose what you know about the seller and the seller situation in order to help the buyer make the best possible offer. And that's it. And that's where it ends. What would you do? You give them to somebody else and that's it?
Yeah, I would have.
If you're my buyer and we've been working together for like looking for a house for like a month and you give me to somebody else and say, well, give me the words.
Well, perhaps I would ask, like, look, I have another buyer that also wants this property. I can write the offer for both, or I can have Sharon represent you, or I can have one of my best friends in the company.
Yeah, do that. And then I'd be like, let you just write it. It's fine. What did they offer? And you're going to say,
right.
Okay, well, what do you think I should offer?
Well, see, and that's where the problem at that question, I'm going to show up differently. Because if you were my only client, I would give you an answer.
What? You wouldn't give me an answer if you weren't?
I don't think I could because I have this other information.
So what do you say?
That's why I would say this is where this gets sticky, and I'd like you to have somebody that is battling just for you.
And I'd be like, Monica, we've been working together for 2 months. Like, I trust you. I'm sure that person is fine, but I want you. Why don't you let the other people be represented by whoever?
Right. And then I'd have to sort that out. And of course, if they wanted me to represent them, I could. And you're right. You walk some sort of line. I just think like in dual agency, you end up showing up in a slightly different position.
See, and I think dual agency it's actually can at times be better for both the buyer and the seller. And I don't want to hear anybody's back mouth. Is that what they call it? Not back mouth. What am I looking for? I don't want to hear their crap about that. All right. Shall we go back to our corner? That was a pretty.
Yeah, I need a break.
That was like
it's an interesting one, mainly because it's never happened to me. It's happened to you, and it's
it's happened to me before, but more on the investor side where I want it to. That's happened more often. God, that sucks though.
And that's a business transaction way more so than representing buyers who are going to live in the house. Would you agree with that? Those people are a bit more business minded.
Yeah, it's a little different, but it hurts more. Only because it's my money.
Right.
And it's not. Yeah. All right. Well, let's head back to our corner. We'll take a short break, hear a word from our sponsor, and then we will return for the final punches. All
right. Welcome back. Now, before we ring the bell for the Realtor Fight Club final round.
Boom.
Heartland, what do you know is going on the street about this one? Have you talked to anybody or?
Yeah, we did take it to the streets of Facebook.
Okay. What did we get there?
Are so funny.
I'm curious on this one though, because we as agents don't talk about this topic very much.
No, we don't, because I don't actually think it happens that
doesn't happen very
right?
much.
Because most agents, they're selling 5, 10, 15 houses a year. And statistically, the chances of you like them wanting the same house, I guess it would be different if it was like a small town and 15 houses was like 50% of the transactions. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just doesn't really happen that often. So most of the answers were like theoretical rather than like, what did you actually do? Yeah. And those answers, I don't really, that show, like, what would you do?
Yeah.
You don't really know like what you would do until you're in it.
Right. I love that show. John Quinones.
It's a great show. That is messed up though.
So good. I love it when people intervene and stand up for the underdog.
The Crusaders.
Good. It's so good. I'm like, yes.
We need to get you on that show.
Anyway, yeah, right.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Did people generally say I can handle it, or were they like, no, I would turn them over?
What did they say? I think most people were like, I can do it.
Okay. Got it.
But I think that's just because because you're right. Like when the dual agency, they were mostly adamant that you should, like, some people even think dual agency is illegal. I guess in some places it is, but it's
Wow.
not here.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think it presents the same conundrum where you're going to step up differently for one client if you've got another client that you're serving at the same time.
Well, I think if you know that about yourself, then absolutely. But if you're more like me, then you don't need to do that.
All right. I like it. Well, if you
All
can
right.
handle it, that's good.
Let's get back inside and close out. All right, your turn. 1 minute.
All right. I think that when you have two clients that want to write an offer on a same property, in order to serve them from a fiduciary responsibility at the highest level, you can only have one side you're representing. Otherwise, you're split in your loyalty in some way. And I think it forces you to answer questions differently. If I'm going to battle for one buyer, our conversations are going to be different than if I have to temper what I'm saying because of some knowledge I might have, which I think does come into play here. I know you disagree with that. So
I had to mute myself.
Lord.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, you saw it. I was like, oh, that is dumb.
I just thought you were being really quiet and respectful.
No, I muted myself.
Damn it.
Listen, I think it's dumb. I think that if you find yourself very like emotional about this, you could be too attached to the outcome.
It's not fucking emotions. It's called fiduciary fucking responsibility.
This is a family show.
Sorry. Sorry, I get excited.
Yeah, fiduciary. You have to represent the buyer that you said that you would.
How can you represent two?
You can easily.
Two buyers?
Obviously, I just walked through an example.
Okay, fine.
You can even represent yourself as the buyer and another buyer.
Why do you think it's a good idea?
I don't think it's a good idea. I'm saying you can do it.
Okay.
That's not the same thing.
Okay.
So I think if you're the type, my 1 minute, I'm starting now. I'm not starting then.
Oh, okay. Okay, go.
Listen, I think that you have to, are you muted? I'm muting you. You have to know yourself. And I agree with you. If you are the type of person that feels uncomfortable doing it, then you absolutely should refer one of them out. I agree with you. But
what? How did we get from there to here?
I think you have to know yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, in a last minute turn of events.
No, I don't agree with you fully.
What? I think I just heard you. I heard you say that.
If you're that type of person, you should do that. Okay. But I think that you can. I think you need to figure out, why do you think that you can't? And let's see if there's something there that's like more of something about you than about the buyers. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I just thought of how I would decide. It's the first buyer that said, I want to make an offer. I say, yes, all right. And the next one is, I already am representing a buyer on this.
That's perfect.
Deal.
Yeah.
And so do you want me to continue, or would you like me to?
Yeah, that's great.
Came to my mind. That
I love it.
You know how you have like an argument with somebody and like the next day you're like, oh, I should have said this.
Yes. And you want to call them, but then you feel stupid.
I know, but I'm so glad that came to me so quickly, because I was so bummed.
Doing a revamp would have been awkward.
Yeah, it really would have been.
I know what I'm going to say now.
Yeah. Let's revisit episode 68 or whatever. All right. I think that's going to have to be the end of today's battle. Do you think there was a knockout in this Realtor Fight Club? How do you feel about this topic? Have you ever experienced this? We would love to hear from you. If
your opinion only counts if you've experienced it.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need speculation, because clearly that's what I was doing here. We don't need any more of that. All right. Who do you think won today's Realtor Fight Club battle? Is it Mertlin? Do you agree with her in her Wild West cowboy kind of way?
Hashtag Team Mertland.
Or do you agree with me? Conservator.
Right. No. Concierge realtor.
Responsible, fiduciary, aware. I don't know. Whatever.
All right. Well, I hope you liked today's battle. Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to wherever you're listening to this podcast. And please write a 5-star review. It helps us get seen. And if you have any topics you want us to do, certainly let us know. You can call or text or put it on the Facebook page. And if you're curious about EXP, feel free to give me a call or text at 513-400-1691. Thanks, Monica.
I'm going to go recover and lick my wounds. I'll see you next time.
Next time.
Bye.
Bye.